Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Working Trader, where we look at the Euro USD daily analysis, coming up with trade ideas for the day. Let's jump into Forex Factory. We see what news we have today. So today is midweek. Today is Wednesday. We do have high impact news at 1:30 and at 7 and 7:30 we have the FOMC press conference, and we have the federal funds rate. So usually at this time, this is where interest rates are announced, and then we usually see a jump, or at least some volatility in the US pairs. So something to be aware of. Okay, so obviously for holding positions for our swing trades or day trades even, this is something to be aware of. Okay. Other than that, I think those are the only two major economic news events today. So let's jump into the charts. All right. So recapping yesterday. So yesterday we mentioned that we have this daily demand, which price is mitigated, as well as this daily supply, and price was stuck in the middle of the range. Okay, price was stuck in the middle of the range, and in the end, as you can see, we only made this spinning top candle. So a lot of indecision at the moment. So obviously today, because of the federal funds rate, we might see a bit more volatility. So we might have a bit more directional move on today's candle. But yesterday, you can see it was largely indecision. Okay, there was largely indecision yesterday. However, we still managed to come up with some ideas for the day, and I was saying, because price is trapped in the middle of this supply and this demand, the best location to look for demand or to look to buy, from a 1 hour entry perspective, was to wait for price to mitigate this this demand at the extreme. Okay, was to wait for price to mitigate this demand at the extreme. So it hasn't done that. We don't know whether it will do that or not, but at the moment it has not yet done that. So that means you could still just be waiting for that to be mitigated. You could still be waiting just for that to be mitigated. So however, let's look at how prices developed and then see if we can have some ideas if anything will change for today. So looking at our context from the daily, so daily is in an uptrend. This is our swing range where we had our last swing break of structure over there, and then since then, after the break of structure, price started to pull back. So this was the retracement. Okay, and then until it made this low, it failed to mitigate this extreme demand, but we came close. Okay, and then pretty much reversed, and now it's kind of made another higher low relative to this one, and we this high. Okay, and broke this high. Okay, so it didn't I don't think, well, it didn't quite break this high. Okay, but we did break this internal one. All right, and then so we have a low, and then now we have a higher low, which led to a break. Okay, a break of structure, albeit this is internal of the internal. So overall, the internal structure is still bearish because this is our main internal leg. This is our strong high. This is our weak low. This was the last internal break of structure. Okay. So internally, overall, we're still bearish. However, there is signs that price could start switching bullish. It may have already started switching bullish, and this could be the higher low that has already been formed on the daily. Okay, as we are in deep discount as well. Okay, we are in deep discount, so this could be the higher low that has been formed. So we will be waiting simply for this supply to fail and this high to fail. Okay, and then at that point our internal will then switch bullish. Our internal trend will then switch bullish. So looking at the 4-hour, our internal is bearish. This is also in range. Alright, but within that internal, because we have layers of structure within structure, so within that internal we have our sub-internal, which is bullish. Okay, so we've been having bullish breaks of structure on the sub-internal. Now we've mitigated the extreme, rather we've mitigated this daily supply, and price has reacted. But if you look at the reaction, it's not a strong reaction. Okay, if you compare, if you look at these candles, how price pushed up. Okay, so we pushed up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 candles. All right, to make this high. Okay, or say 11 candles to make that high. Now coming down just to make this retracement. Okay, this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 candles. Okay, just to make that retracement. So that shows that selling pressure is getting weak, and then buying pressure is definitely increasing. Okay, so our best odds would be to focus on buys, obviously, because the internal structure, the order flow at the moment for the internal or the sub-internal structure is bullish on our medium time frame, which is the 4-hour. So when we look back at the 1 hour, it switched bearish. Okay, so why did it switch bearish? It switched bearish to facilitate the internal pullback, or to facilitate the pullback of the medium time frame. Okay, it switched bearish to facilitate the pullback of the internal of the medium time frame. So it's likely now that we've mitigated the medium time frame POI, right? Of course, we would be expecting it to mitigate this extreme, but it doesn't have to. All right, the fact that we've reached the medium time frame POI, or 4-hour POI, and then we have swept liquidity over there, right? It's likely that price could continue to go bullish from this point onwards. Okay, remember we have relative equal highs at the top here, so here we have resting liquidity at the top, we have resting high equal highs at the top here, so we have liquidity at the top as well. We have this we could call it a trend line at the top as well. Okay, so all of these is resting liquidity that needs to be taken at some point. Okay, and who knows, today might be the day. Okay, so overall our bias is bullish. Okay, overall our bias is bullish. Now ideally we would have wanted to go long from this POI. Okay, so if not, then we'll have to wait for a new POI to be formed. Okay, a new clear POI on our entry time frame. But as it stands, bias is bullish. Okay, bias is bullish. And then maybe from an intraday perspective, bias may be bearish. Okay, bias may be bearish. You can still play both sides. From an intraday perspective, where do we have? Okay, so we do not have any unmitigated POI supply at the top. So the only supply that we had was this one, which was mitigated here. And since then, no clear supply has been formed. Okay, so this structure is weak. All right, so we do not have any supply over there. So that means there's high likelihood that the supply will fail, and as I've been saying, expectation would be deeper mitigation of this daily supply, and maybe reach this 4-hour area, have a bit of a reaction before continuing to eliminate, okay, to actually eliminate that supply on the 4-hour and on the daily. Okay, so I think that's the analysis for the day. So if you find value with this daily analysis, please hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment, and share your ideas as well. Other than that, working trader out. Have a good day.